Hello, beautiful people. Aloha, and welcome to another episode of Touchful Podcast. I'm taking a deep breath getting ready to record this one because it's such a beautiful topic, something that deeply excites me. I will be talking today about the greatest act of rebellion that exists, I think, in my opinion. And I want to start with a little bit of a background story and a little bit of introduction in how I even landed in this topic, in the idea to record this topic today. So a couple of days ago, my friend Camila visited me. And these are always beautiful and precious moments for me when we visit. The talks that we have are so deep, and I feel that something in my heart opens up and something in my mind opens up. I hope that you do have a person like this, that when you meet with that person, some magical portal to deeper wisdom and understanding and fun and joy opens up for both of you. And that's how I am with Camila. And by the way, I want to say one thing. According to the statistics of my podcast, about 1/3 of you listen to me in Iceland, which is understandable because that's also where I am and where my clients are. So if you speak Icelandic, I want to let you know that Camila has a beautiful podcast together with her friend Solbjörn, and it's in Icelandic, and the title of this podcast is Leiðin að sjálfinu, and you can find it on Spotify, and I highly recommend it. I like to listen to it both for the purpose of learning my Icelandic and just for the purpose of listening to what these two wise women have to say. Okay, end of advertisement, and back to the story. So me and Camila met, and during one of our deep sessions and deep talks, we worked with a deck of cards, which is all about different archetypes that we all have in ourselves and different archetypes that show up in our life. And I pulled out the archetype of a rebel. I think what I'm going to do is I will upload the photo of the card to my website, and I will leave you the link in the description of this episode. So if you want to see the card that sparked my enthusiasm and inspiration for this episode, then you can just click on that link to see that card. So immediately when I saw it, I got so excited, and it was so weird to me because I would never call myself a rebel. If you asked me to give you all kinds of adjectives to describe myself or all kinds of archetypes that I feel connected to, the rebel would not be one of them. I kind of always felt that I don't have this energy in me. I was not a rebellious child. I didn't rebel as a teenager, which was not essentially a good thing because then I rebelled a little bit in my 20s, but that was really nothing extreme. I wouldn't call myself an activist or an anarchist. So I got so surprised when I saw that card. I read about that card and I was like, this is me. I am a rebel. And even the person who was drawn on that card, the picture of a person, I looked at that picture and I was like, this is me, I'm a rebel, I am this. And I allowed myself to contemplate on that a little bit more. If you've been hanging out with me on the podcast for some time, you know that deep contemplation is one of my favorite ways to access deep wisdom and deep understanding and feeling of the world. So I started to contemplate on that and feel into the energy of this archetype, the idea of who a rebel is, and why I got so excited when I pulled this card and why I immediately felt that I am a rebel. And first, like, some surface things started to come to me that, yes, in a way I live a life that is maybe a little bit different than the mainstream, that maybe some of my opinions about certain things are a little bit different than the mainstream, but then I could feel that it's not what I mean. I am a rebel. And then it just clicked in me and my heart opened wide, and I just realized that I am a love rebel. And my rebellious act is love. and it is to love. And this is what I want to be talking about in today's episode. I want to talk about love and also self-love as one of the most rebellious acts that we can take. Because think about it, loving yourself, I will start with self-love, loving yourself in this world where we live, in this society, in these circumstances, sometimes it is really a deeply rebellious act of going against the society that tells you that something is wrong with you if you maybe don't look like this, something is wrong with you if you don't behave like this, something is wrong with you if you da-da-da-da-da. And we can start on the surface level with how we look. So many people that I know, they struggle with loving themselves because of how they look, and it's because they get this message from the society, through media, through all kinds of channels, that you should be thinner, you should be thicker, you should be more like this, you should be more like that, you should be eating in a different way, you should put makeup, you shouldn't put makeup, you should exercise, or you know what I mean, all kinds of things. And sometimes when I start to listen to that, I get into this feeling of like, oh my God, like so many things must be wrong with me, that I constantly get these messages of how I can do something to be different and then I will be lovable. That is the story of my life. I think that is one of the reasons why I get so passionate about loving yourself as the ultimate act of rebellion, because that is the story of my life, feeling that if only I do this, then I will be lovable. If only I will achieve this, then I will be loved. If only I will be a little different, I will have a little different personality or a little different look, or I will have success, or I will live here or there, or I will be with that person, or I will earn that much money, then I will be worthy of love and I will be lovable. That used to be my narration for such a long time, and I'm so extremely grateful that it is no more. That I genuinely sometimes feel like a rebel, first rebelling against my own mind, my own beliefs, my own inner talk that sometimes starts this narration, oh, if only this, then people would love you. And I'm like, whoa, no, you don't need to do anything to be loved. And your self-love is your responsibility. It is your work to do. And it is so freeing to me to embrace the idea that I can love myself now. I don't need to be different. And going from a surface level of, how we look or what kind of success we have in life, I even dare to go to this like a little bit more subtle levels of undermining our self-worth. And by this, I mean that sometimes in spiritual communities or in self-development communities, there is this notion, there is this trap that people fall into that, if only I release this childhood trauma that I have, then I will be happy, then I will finally find love, then I will feel that I am lovable. If only I will heal this part of me, if only I will heal my inner child, if only I will go to therapy, then something will change and I will be worthy of love. And don't get me wrong, I wholeheartedly support all this. Therapy, all kinds of healing. I mean, I do it myself for a living. I help people to ultimately heal themselves and tap into their highest potential through the bodywork that I do. So I have nothing against this. against trauma release and all kinds of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful practices. I do a ton of them all the time, every day. Meditation, I don't know, working with plant medicine, all kinds of things. We all have our ways. But I wholeheartedly rebel against the idea that you need to do this to fix yourself, that you need to heal yourself, and then the magical portal of love or self-love opens up. I want to invite you to rebel with me and to feel that you can love yourself in this very moment of your life. You don't need to change absolutely anything about yourself to love yourself. And when I say it, I feel my mind protesting a little bit, and I will talk about it more in a moment, but I want you to feel how this makes you feel when I say this. You don't need to change anything about yourself to be worthy of love, to start loving yourself. Whatever loving yourself means for you, because this also means different things for different people. For me, ultimately, what I mean by loving myself is building a beautiful, kind, trustworthy, deep, authentic relationship with myself. Feeling that I can rely on myself, that I am my own best buddy. This, to me, ultimately is self-love, tending to the relationship that you have with yourself. And you don't need anything in you to be changed to start doing that. Feel for a moment how it makes you feel. Does it give you a relief? Does it give you some sort of like inner protest and that it's not true? Does it give you like what kind of sensation it brings to you? And a super important thing that I want to distinct between these two things, that loving yourself doesn't mean that you don't want to change, that you don't want to grow, that you don't want to heal, that you don't want to release something or transform something. Loving yourself as you are now doesn't mean that you don't want to become more successful or have more money or have a better job or lose some weight or change something about your body. Absolutely not. These are two different things for me, completely two different things. But if everything that I do is rooted in self-love, then it's just feels completely different than when it's rooted in hatred, and the feeling that I need to change, I need to improve, I need to get better to love myself. So, for example, if I want to take better care of my body, I would like to, that is authentic example from my own life. I would like to not even lose weight, but I would like to get a little bit more muscles, and kind of like I would love my body to be a little bit more firm and a little stronger. And I can do all kinds of things to achieve that effect. But ultimately what matters the most is, where is it rooted? Does it come from self-love? That I love myself so much, I love my body, I want it to be healthy because I want to live for many, many, many years to come in good health. I want to feel sexy because that makes me feel good, and I love myself so much that I want that for myself. Or exactly the same things that I'm doing, I can root it in this feeling of lacking, of feeling of inadequacy, feeling of not being good enough, that I need to be more muscly or more firm or have a different body, because then I feel that I will be worthy of love, then I will be worthy of self-love, and then I will be worthy of love of others. Do you feel what I'm trying to say here? That self-love, if it's the base that you build your life on, then everything that you build on this foundation is just going to be ultimately so much more fulfilling and beautiful and nourishing for you, whatever choices you take. So a little homework for you, or a little contemplation. See, where do your choices come from? Do they come from this idea and a need to nourish your relationship with yourself, to get to know yourself better, to be kinder to yourself, to better yourself out of love? Or do they come from this place within you where you feel that you are lacking and you just hope that if only I do this, then I will be worthy of love? And there is no shame and no blame if you notice that some of your choices come from this self-hatred place. I have moments like this as well. Every day I identify that some of my actions, some of my decisions, they come from a need to punish myself in some way, or they come from some deep insecurity that I have, and I just want to kind of like keep feeding that insecurity. And each time I realize something like this happens, then first I celebrate. I really do. The moment you become aware of some pattern in your life, of some behaviors in you that comes from a dark place, from a place full of resentment or even hate, please first celebrate, because now you can see it and now you can take it and you can love it. The ultimate act of rebellion for me is that I can love myself no matter what. There is no part in me that is unlovable. And right now I am really devoting my life to this practice, to mastering this practice, because it is a practice. I constantly keep finding parts of myself that I feel that are absolutely unlovable. That I'm like, oh my goodness, nobody can find out that I have these kinds of thoughts, or these kinds of beliefs, or these kinds of behaviors, because this is absolutely unlovable. I keep seeing these parts of me, and then I take them and I learn to love them, because it is nobody else's responsibility to do that but mine. If you have people around you who offer you their love, their support, they are there for you, this is amazing. I'm so happy for you, and I'm so grateful that I have these people around me as well. But ultimately, please remember that it is nobody else's responsibility to love you but your own, especially these parts that feel unlovable. So one of the practices that I'm doing is feeling these parts of me that I feel ashamed of, that I feel that they are not worthy of love, I feel that they are dark and ugly. And I have this meditation or visualization that I sometimes do, and I identify this part in me. Sometimes I feel them a little bit more in my body somewhere. Sometimes I just see it as a part of me that I put into my heart. Sometimes I visualize it in front of me. And then what I'm imagining is that my heart is bigger than this. That my love that spreads from my heart can wrap up around this part of me that feels unloved. And sometimes it's a very quick thing for me to do. It's just one breath, and in the inhale, I feel my heart growing and expanding and opening up. And in the exhale, I feel my whole body relaxing and kind of putting like kind and loving arms around some thought that I have about myself, or some part of me that feels unlovable. Sometimes it is a matter of one breath. Sometimes it is a matter of months for me. If you listened to the previous episode, then you know my story of for how many months I felt unworthy of having such a great, beautiful, amazing life. And it took me months of consistent, dedicated practice to be able to transform this feeling of unworthiness, to kind of wrap up the love around it. Because my firm belief is that love is bigger than anything. And it is a practice. And if it sounds super weird to you, then amazing, then give it a try. It is a practice of feeling that I choose to love. Love is a choice. Ultimately, I don't see love as a feeling, as an emotion. It is not. It is a particular type of energy. And it is my choice to cultivate that energy, to wrap up that energy around everything that needs to be loved. Especially the parts of me that feel that they need to be deeply hidden, and because they are absolutely unlovable. And again, if you feel that you need help from a therapist, from a healer, from a friend to talk about all these things, fine, amazing, beautiful. But recognize, be a rebel. Recognize that this is your power. This is your choice. This is your responsibility to love yourself unconditionally. And this doesn't change the fact that you might want to change. Sometimes I am super proud of myself, of some project that I did, of some achievement, of how my life unfolds, how beautiful my relationships are, how my body is changing, how my heart is growing. Sometimes I'm super proud of myself. Sometimes I am really not proud of myself, of the choices that I made, of something that I said, of how I really didn't show up in the relationship that was calling for me to show up, how I got lazy and I didn't finish some project, how I promised something to myself and I broke that promise. Sometimes I am really not proud of myself. But this doesn't change the fact that I can love myself no matter what. And I can admit to myself, yes, I am not proud of this. I should have done differently. I want to take a lesson from that. I want to change. I want to be a different person. But it can be rooted in love. So loving yourself unconditionally doesn't mean that you avoid responsibility. I would say that it's actually the contrary. The more I build a beautiful, kind, supportive, loving relationship with myself, the easier it gets for me to claim the responsibility, to take the responsibility, to take the responsibility for some actions that I'm not proud of. Because I know, and I'm still in the process of this. It's not that I achieved, the top of the mountain. I think we never do achieve the top of the mountain when it comes to relationship with ourselves. So I'm still in the process of learning that. But I know in most cases, I really feel it and remember it, that even the fact that I messed up doesn't mean that now I need to stop loving myself and start blaming myself and feeling guilty. I sometimes like to compare it to a parent-child relationship. I don't have my own children, so I'm not gonna go into that example. But if you are a parent, then I bet that you have had many of these moments when you are maybe not particularly proud of something that your child did. You feel that maybe they did something ultimately wrong. But this doesn't change the fact that you love them. And I am not a parent, but I am a child. I can tap into the feeling of how it is to feel loved no matter what. My parents, they really don't understand my life choices. Sometimes they just express it that they are confused and they don't understand. Sometimes they get full on angry with some of my decisions. And it's their right to do so. But never for a single moment since I started this self-love journey, never for a single moment I felt unloved by my parents. Because I feel that the role of a parent is to love, not necessarily to try to understand your child, but to love and to create the most beautiful, loving environment for your child to grow. And I like to think like this with a relationship to myself, that my utmost responsibility is to create the beautiful, kind, safe, loving environment for me to grow. And sometimes I will F up, and sometimes I will make wrong decisions, take wrong choices. It's fine. It's the part of being a human. It's the beauty of this journey that sometimes we really do stupid things that we are not proud of. And it's okay, because this doesn't change the fact that you can love yourself. And to me, this is the act of rebellion. And another thing that I want to tell you is that you don't need to wait for any sort of permission of anything to happen to just start this journey of getting to know yourself, loving yourself. Don't wait for permission to love yourself. I remember the other day, some time ago, I made a little ritual, a little ceremony for myself, in which I, in a very ceremonial way, I gave myself permission to love myself, no matter what. That I don't need to wait until I heal myself. I don't need to wait until some beliefs, undermining beliefs, are being released or changed or transformed. I don't need to wait for anything and for anybody's permission to love myself. I don't need to wait for anybody to tell me, Magdalena, now you are ready, now you are lovable, now you can love yourself. It's completely the opposite way. That if I start now this journey of getting to know myself and ultimately loving myself more and more on the way, then I feel that it gets so much easier for me to face some of the deep traumas of my life and to heal them, to make peace with them, to forgive, to grow, to expand. So please, don't wait. Get your love together and live happily ever after. And one last thing that I want to cover in this episode is that this act of rebellion is not about just self-love, but I feel love in general. I started with the topic of self-love and I explored it the most because this is also how it came to me when I pulled up that card, that it is about self-love, and this is the topic that I'm deeply passionate about, and this is something that I invite people to explore during Lomi sessions with me, that ultimately Lomi is a work of love, of getting to know yourself and getting to love yourself, falling in love with yourself and with your life. But it doesn't end there. It is not just about self-love, but love in general is a rebellious act. What if to love, no matter what, is the most rebellious act? In a world that is divided, in a world where people feel separated, where they feel lonely, where there is war, where there is crime and horrible things happening, horrible, heartbreaking things happening. I feel that in this world, to choose love, no matter what, is the act of rebellion. And again, the fact that I choose love doesn't mean that I agree on the horrible things that are happening. People being violated, people being killed, doesn't mean that I agree on that. It breaks my heart, as it should. because it's horrible. But still, can I hold a space in me where I choose to love? The other day, a sentence came to me, I choose to love because it is the easiest. Just to love and to show up as love, it is the easiest, not making any exclusions. Just like I can choose to love myself, all of me, because this is the easiest. I don't need to remember that, okay, I want to exclude this part because it's unlovable, and I want to exclude that part because it's unlovable. No, then it becomes complicated. To love yourself fully is the easiest. And I took that idea and I do my best, I practice it every day to broaden it into my relationships, into the whole world ultimately. That to choose love is the easiest. I don't need to exclude anybody, that okay, I love everybody except these people and these people and these people because they are unlovable. And it is a practice, and to me it is sometimes a difficult practice to hold myself in love. And again, I like to imagine that my love is bigger than anything. Not just not my human love, but love as the ultimate power that created this universe is bigger than anything. And I have this love inside me because I was created by that love. So there is love inside me that is bigger than anything, and it can wrap up her loving arms around anybody or anything, around any situation. And again, it doesn't mean that I agree on horrible things happening. And again, I would say that it's actually the opposite, that if I have love and compassion for some horrible things happening, that it is actually easier for me to face them, to choose some action, to do something about it. That is me. That is how I want to practice it, because it's not something that I know how to do and it works. Sometimes it really doesn't. Sometimes I get angry and upset and say things about people that I later feel that they didn't come from a loving place. And it's okay. It's a journey. It's not that now you need to be perfect in this. Allow your love to be bigger than that. That my love can wrap up her loving arms even around the fact that I am not perfect in this. That sometimes I don't come from a loving place. I often say, I love you. I say it often on my Instagram. I sometimes say it here on a podcast when I finish the podcast. And I just realized the other day that it is also my little act of rebellion. Because I know that some people might feel that it is fake, that it is this like rainbow spirituality. Oh, I love you and peace and love and all that. But the truth is that it is not. It comes from my need to rebel. Love as a rebellious act, because there are so many people in this world who hate without a reason. People hate people without a reason. So I can as well be a person who loves people without a reason. I don't need a reason to love you. I don't even know you, but I feel you. I feel you there, and I know that you are there. And I can tell you that I love you and that it is genuine, because it is the easiest. To love you is easier than to exclude you. And I feel that I want to finish here. I want to invite you to contemplate this in your life. Take a moment to contemplate where in your life you are a rebel. And how does it feel for you to join my love rebellion? And to practice this, and to fail, and to succeed, and to love yourself on the way. It's been such a joy to make this episode. I feel so warm inside, and I feel that my heart have grown a little bit bigger because of me recording this episode. So I want to thank you so much for listening to it, for being there, for allowing me to feel you and to talk to you and choosing to spend a moment of your precious life with me. This means so much. I want to tell you that I love you, and I will talk to you sometime soon. Aloha. Bye bye.